Your cherished local fast food haven might vanish without a trace, and the impending fear is more real than you might imagine. This looming threat arises from a stark reality. The fast food industry is gearing up for the year ahead, and it's taking drastic measures. Companies are scrutinizing their operations, slashing costs, isolating the profitable establishments from the struggling ones, and determining which location will endure into 2024. The competition has reached an intensity never before seen, and the economic landscape suggests that consumers will continue to tighten their purse strings when it comes to dining out. Brands must now confront the harsh new market dynamics head-on, severing ties with underperforming outlets that could spell disaster for their future growth and stability. Numerous renowned eateries teeter on the precipice of closure, and today, we unveil the latest wave of restaurant shutdowns, sending shivers down the spines of diners across the United States. Without further ado, here are 15 fast food chains currently shuttering their restaurants. KFC. Following a disheartening 25% plunge in net income for the first quarter of 2023, attributed to declining sales and dwindling foot traffic, KFC and other Yum Brands-owned chains have embarked on a spree of store closures dating back to 2020. Nearly 70 KFC outlets have fallen by the wayside, with 35 of these closures occurring within the past year alone. Despite a glimmer of hope in 2022, which saw some new restaurant openings following years of stagnation, the beloved fried chicken chain has now reverted to its ominous cycle of closures. With revenue slipping by 1.1% in the first quarter, and the most recent data kept under wraps from the public, KFC is now making an unprecedented exit from an entire U.S. state, Louisiana. The chain is shuttering all its stores and liquidating assets in the region. The abrupt shutdowns in Louisiana took customers and staff by surprise, with notices posted on restaurant doors being the only form of communication. It's important to note that these stores were not franchise-owned but directly operated by the corporation. The most plausible explanation for these sudden closures is dismal performance. At present, Yum Brands is conducting a comprehensive review of its portfolio, and it's highly likely that other chains under its purview, such as Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, will follow in KFC's footsteps. Arby's. While Arby's appeared to be making a triumphant comeback from the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2022, with improved sales and rising foot traffic, the company's fortune took a dark turn towards the end of the year. The first quarter of 2023 saw a disheartening 8.7% decline in same-store sales, followed by an even more chilling 11.5% drop in the second quarter. Investors are grappling with heightened concerns over the mounting debt crisis among Arby's franchisees. Desperate to avert bankruptcy and subsequent store closures, the chain is currently in negotiations with banks to secure a lifeline of credit and is actively seeking to renegotiate leases with landlords. However, the hurdles are monumental, especially with surging interest rates forcing banks to tighten lending standards. In light of these obstacles, Arby's path to financial recovery appears treacherous. In fact, recent reports underscore that restaurant closures have already commenced. If there's an Arby's nestled in your neighborhood, brace yourself, for its continued existence may be in peril. Renowned for its delectable roast beef sandwiches and mouth-watering curly fries, the chain recently rang the death knell for two of its oldest U.S. establishments, one located in Santa Maria, California, and the other in Houston, Texas. Additional closures loom on the horizon, targeting flagship location in San Francisco and San Antonio scheduled for October. This string of closures is part of a broader pattern that threatens to shrink the chain's store count by a staggering 8% by the close of 2024. TGI Fridays. presenting itself as the quintessential casual dining bar and grill. TGI Fridays, an American chain founded in the mid-60s, prides itself on serving authentic American cuisine paired with iconic beverages and warm, personal service. However, the pandemic dealt a harsh blow, leading to the closure of 20% of its restaurants. Former CEO Ray Blanchard expressed deep concerns, predicting that an additional 20% of the chain's location could shutter in the coming years. He acknowledged the formidable challenge of recovering from an 80% decline in sales, stating unequivocally that some location would inevitably close permanently. With a clear focus on liquidity, the company wrestled with the pressing question of how to ensure financial viability. Unfortunately, Blanchard's foresight proved accurate. At the start of 2021, TGI Fridays boasted 386 locations, but by January 2023, only 309 restaurants remained in operation. The company is now in the midst of a strategic portfolio review, aiming to secure a healthy performance in 2024 and beyond. This has prompted the closure of several units, with the process commencing in Texas in March and expanding to multiple cities in Massachusetts since August. As of September 30th, a mere 286 TGI Friday location persisted in the U.S. On a brighter note, the company is actively pursuing international expansion, engaging in negotiations to open 75 new locations across South and Southeast Asia. Firehouse Subs, a sandwich chain founded by firefighter brothers in 1994. Firehouse Subs has encountered challenges involving some of its major franchise operators. Heightened competition has diverted Firehouse's clientele to larger sandwich establishments like Jimmy John's and Subway. Guest visits plummeted by 9% in the quarter concluding in June, while sales remained stagnant. The gravest issue, however, revolves around the mounting debt amassed by franchisees in recent years. For instance, a Minneapolis operator filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy not long ago, revealing a debt exceeding $1 million in contrast to meager assets amounting to just $68,000. Mr. Investments, the franchise based in Stillwater, failed to reach an agreement with creditors and was unable to secure a buyer to take over its operations. Consequently, all stores owned by Mr. Investments are on the brink of permanent closure. Bojangles, celebrated for its delectable Cajun seasoned fried chicken and biscuits, Bojangles is undergoing a corporate overhaul marked by store renovations and closures. In the latter half of 2020, the chain targeted 23 restaurants in North Carolina and Tennessee for closure. In 2023, a series of Florida locations permanently shut their doors, with one city experiencing their final departure. The closure announcement came with the revelation that all Bojangles restaurants in Jacksonville were no longer operational. Intriguingly, Bojangles CEO, Jose Amario, has unveiled a bold strategy that may raise eyebrows among customers. Amario expressed a desire to shift away from the chicken business, aiming to delve into the experience business. This transition steers the company from casual dining towards a more gourmet format, likely leading to significant menu price adjustments in the months ahead. Moe's Southwest Grill. Moe's Southwest Grill, a Mexican restaurant chain that started in Atlanta in 2000, is having a tough time lately. It's struggling to stand out among other Mexican-inspired restaurants. Since the pandemic, Moe's sales dropped by over 23%, and they have fewer locations. In 2021, they had 700 spots, but by December 2022, it dropped to 658. Now, there are only 628 open, and they're closing half of their stores in Indiana because the owner couldn't find a buyer. This is happening because investors are cautious due to Moe's recent poor performance. Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's, known for its chicken fingers, has faced challenges like supply chain issues and a shortage of ingredients, especially chicken. This has caused a drop in sales. Also, some of their locations are in areas with increasing crime, affecting their business. They decided to close restaurants where there were car break-ins and robberies in the neighborhood. They're also shutting down all their restaurants on college campuses because they weren't making enough money. The exact number of closures hasn't been shared yet. Chick-fil-A, a popular chicken chain, has been doing well in 2023 with strong sales. But even so, some of its restaurants are closing. Earlier this year, they closed some in North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama, leading to job losses. Additionally, a few locations in New Jersey and Pennsylvania will close this fall. Hooters, known for its unique style, opened its first restaurant in the U.S. in October 1983, marking 40 years this month. Over the years, it faced various challenges, including management issues, competition, and the pandemic. Although they didn't officially announce it, Hooters' presence is shrinking. In January, there were 321 Hooters restaurants across the country, but now there are only 306. The chain is keeping it quiet, but it's clear that they're closing some location, and people are noticing. Hardee's. The burger chain Hardee's is facing some serious problems. In 2022, their yearly sales dropped by 4.2%, and the average sales at their stores went down by 3%. Hardee's is related to Carl's Jr., and both of these chains have been struggling with weak sales since at least 2018, as reported by Restaurant Business. Adding to their woes, Summit Restaurant Holdings, a major Hardee's franchisee, went bankrupt and had to close down 40 restaurants. Now, the parent company CK Restaurant Holdings plans to reduce the number of Hardee's locations drastically by about 213 stores, or a whopping 133%. These closures will mainly affect places in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kansas, Missouri, and Wyoming. CK suggested that Summit Restaurant Holdings should sell these restaurants to a well-capitalized buyer with a strong track record across the restaurant, entertainment, food, beverage, and retail sectors. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and these restaurants are now at risk of being shut down. Steak and Shake. Burger chain Steak and Shake, mostly found in the Midwest, is slowly fading away. Over the years, this fast food company has been getting smaller, and 2023 is no exception. Complaints about declining service and lower quality food have hurt the chain's reputation and popularity. In 2021, it almost went bankrupt, and some industry experts believe the risk is still looming. Steak and Shake is trying hard to boost sales and profits, but they've recently closed 8 corporate-owned restaurants and 16 franchise-operated ones. This move is expected to save the company nearly $38 million in costs over the next 4 years. Papa Murphy's. In 2022, Papa Murphy's, the popular pizza chain, faced a tough time. Many of its franchise owners weren't ready for a sudden drop in people wanting pizza, which caused their sales to go down by 11.4%. The company that owns Papa Murphy's, MTY Food Group, wasn't happy about having to close 72 franchise stores, and it hurt their finances. Eric Lee, from Tyco, said, "We had to close a lot of stores in 2022. Unfortunately, they weren't doing as well as we wanted. MTY is hoping things will get better next year." But Papa Murphy's didn't do well when they tried to open more stores outside the Northwest. In the second quarter, about 5.8% of their restaurants didn't make much money, and 32 of them couldn't even make a profit since mid-2022. Shareholders want the company to have fewer restaurants, so we might hear about more closings soon. Baskin-Robbins. The ice cream chain Baskin-Robbins hasn't been doing as well as it used to. It's owned by Inspired Brands, and it has only added 4 new stores in the US over the past 5 years, making much less money than its parent company. Some experts are worried about whether Baskin-Robbins can survive for another 5 years. While its sister brand, Dunkin' Donuts, made 74% of Inspired Brands' money in 2023, Baskin-Robbins only made less than 6%. Even though Dunkin' Donuts is doing great, it's surprising that Baskin-Robbins is still around. Recent reports say that 8 Baskin-Robbins ice cream shops in Kansas, including ones in Wichita and Kansas City, and 13 more in North Carolina, are going to close before the year ends. This is after they closed 64 restaurants from June 2022 to June this year. For most of these brands, closing stores is a tough decision they don't make lightly. It's often their last option, but they have to do it now to protect their business and survive tough times. This trend of closing stores might happen more as the economy gets worse, so we might have to say goodbye to more of our favorite restaurants before the year is over.